Hello, hello. Hello there. Who do we have here? Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. Hey, Cheryl, the most reliable person on these streams. Oh, we got a couple more people coming in here. Hello, everybody. If you could just say hello in the chat so I can see who's here, that would be great. We get started in a minute. Oh, we lost one. Cheryl, this might be pretty quick if we don't get anybody else in here too fast. I know. What's funny, I get hundreds of people on TikTok, but I got a MAGA swarm get me last night, and they reported me so much that I got banned for a week. They said I was talking about sexually explicit material, but I was talking about Matt Gaetz and the investigation into him, and that got me bounced, which was crazy. And I appealed and I was denied, and then I sent them a follow up, and I'm hoping to hear back. But I want to do more on here anyways. But it's super frustrating. I literally did nothing wrong. I had 400 people on a live, and of course, a lot of MAGAs, and they didn't like me talking about the House investigation into Matt Gaetz, which was started by Republicans, about sex trafficking, and that got flagged, and I got pushed down. But anywho, well, Cheryl, I'm going to ask you, since you're one of the two people in here, did you get a chance to see the first episode of the podcast that we launched yesterday called PolitiGood? The algorithms are making it very difficult for me to actually promote it. So I don't know who sees and who doesn't. Hey, Todd. It's so good to see you. Sorry I didn't write you back. Our emails that have been some of my favorite interactions since the election. So thank you for that. And I'm glad you listened to it, and you gave me some good feedback. Also, I'm not going to have. Yeah, do it, man. This is a gourmet. There was a deal at Fresh Direct because we have our groceries delivered, and they had some sort of like, if you bought 6 bottles, you get 25% off. So we did that, and they're all $10 bottles, and that's actually pretty good. Um, um, Thank you for spreading the word about it. Yeah, it was obviously it was a first episode, and thanks for the people who are starting to join. I'm seeing a few more people, which is awesome. Um, first episodes are always tough. Um, and I am the biggest critic of myself when I do these things. And I kept hearing my ums. I have a problem with saying ums, which is so hard to stop because it's just like an automatic thing when I pause. Instead of just pausing, I go, So I have to work on that. But I thought the conversation was really good. We're not going to have that many guests, I think, in the future. And I'm also going to strangle my friend Sam, who was typing in it, which, Todd, I don't know if you heard, but there was typing going on. And also hello to Lucky, our cat, who never leaves me alone. When either my wife and I have our computers open, she decides it's time to join. Well, Todd, I'm glad you didn't notice it. Maybe I'm just self-conscious about it. But I'm glad you liked the conversation. And, I think we were trying to be as introspective as possible and, trying to diagnose problems. And I think, trying to understand. Oh, nice. Yeah, we have 2. We have another one, but the other one, she's usually hiding back there, but she's not there. But she will not join. Yeah, and this is Lucky. She's a rescue from West Virginia. She was in a high kill shelter and was rescued and moved to Northern Virginia when we lived in D.C. And black cats have a harder time being good. So, and everyone wants a kitten, and she was 2 years old. So, I picked her up immediately, and she just sat in my arms, and we came home with her. So, and now she is 12. And we got her 2. So she's been with us for 10 years, and the other one has been with us for 11. They don't get along very well. Yeah, Todd, I never understand why people, other than allergies, I don't understand why anybody would get. Uh, Ours were fatter, but they both have uh, uh, issues that they need medicine for, because their food's going through them so fast. I'm forgetting the word at the moment. Um, But I never understood why anybody would like pay for a cat. There's so many like perfectly fine ones in animal shelters, unless you have an allergy and you need like a hyperallergenic one. But like, yeah, just get animals in a rescue. Same with dogs. My parents used to get English Cocker Spaniels, and they uh finally the last dog my mom has a dog now that actually my dad picked out literally 2 weeks before he died, and that's a rescue dog from Alabama. Um, so yeah, this is our rescue family. Um, so, anyways, let's see. Years of yeah. So the guys in episode one are all awesome. I knew some of them more than others. So Sam, the one that was typed on the keyboard, uh, I knew we worked together on the Obama campaign in 2008, and then I knew of Mike before this, but I didn't know him, and I didn't know Brad, the other one that had the AirPods, and I didn't know before this, and they've all in the last 3 months become good friends, and I think you could hear it in the episode. And Mike has a really compelling story. He didn't get into all of it. And we're at 11 now. Thanks for folks who are joining. Please say hello in the chat. Love to know who's here. Mike, he's had some, I have to be careful with the words here so I don't get banned. But he had some, let's say, dark thoughts like 4 years ago. Uh, and, and really like managed to dig himself out from it. He's lost over 200 pounds. He's just a great guy, and he talks a lot about stuff. I think Todd, you and I would agree on is that uh, we don't do a great job as a society of setting men up to succeed, or giving them spaces to just hang out, have a good time. Like I think as we get older, men do a worse job than women of staying friends with their friends, and and trying to find ways that people don't feel so isolated, men in particular, but it happens to women too, but like that men don't feel so isolated, and he talks a lot about that. And yes, and I agree, I want to talk more about it, like how do we, and this isn't a political thing at all, it's like how do we really just like improve the lives of men, and I'm not talking about white men, I'm just talking about across the board. And, I've experienced it, and I said it on the podcast, you probably heard me, like, when I was fortunate enough to go to college, and I had a community, obviously, in college, because you got my school is small, so, like, 2,500 kids just, like, hanging out, right? But after college, the only options were sports, which I did do, and essentially drinking or drugs for some people, not me, but, for some. And that's not a healthy way, and that works in your 20s, right? And then in your 30s, it doesn't really work anymore. And then in your 40s, it gets worse. And then kids come along and adult responsibilities, people move up in their jobs and stuff. And like, I live in New York City and I have some casual friends here, but most of my very good friends are either in Maine or scattered. And there's not a really a great way for men to um, be able to just have fun, hang out. And I think that leads to loneliness. And then I think it leads to anger. And then we sort of, and this is a both sides thing. And then all of a sudden we're sort of finger pointing at people for problems and things. And I think that, or we fall into alcoholism, which as I'm saying this, drinking a glass of wine, and a son of an alcoholic, by the way. But, or midlife crisis, which is a real thing. And I think that we could dial down the temperature a little bit with doing some more of this stuff. But I also think there's other things too, right? Like I think that algorithms on social media are making all of our brains rot because then we're just getting put into echo chambers, and we just hear things that we agree with, and then when we come across a thing that we don't agree with, our minds explode because it's like, well, but I've just been hearing but like this is the right way because I hear this all the time. And I think I wish we could get to a place, if I was in Congress or if I was a president, which I would never want to be, or a governor, I'd be like, I would pass a bill that says that you have to have a chronological feed along with the algo if you want. But that way, at least you'd see content from other people and different opinions and different ideas, and then we could talk about them. And I think that that's a big part of our polarization as well. Um, Anyways, so I think there's a lot to be done there. and I do want to talk about that more. We're going to be talking about a lot of issues. The second episode, which I haven't announced yet, but I'll tell the 5 of you, 8 of you on here, is going to be with the chief digital. I keep making that mistake. The chief diversity officer of the University of Michigan, and we are going to talk about what DEI really means, uh, and also like real world applications of it. And uh, I think that, and I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, but I don't think anybody really knows what DEI is. And I'll give you some examples. So, for one, in Michigan, at least, if the University of Michigan was to cancel their DEI programs, that would mean that uh, many guidance counselors would get pulled out of schools because University of Michigan funds that through their DEI program, because DEI means diversity, equity, and inclusion. It doesn't mean preference. It doesn't mean any of these things. So they are funding guidance counselors in schools to help tell or help work with kids on where their paths should be and make sure that they're set up to succeed. It's also funding a lot of work in the Upper Peninsula, which is a very white area of Michigan. And that work has meant that this past year, the numbers just came in, that more kids from the Upper Peninsula are attending the University of Michigan than ever before because they're working with those, and there are a lot of underserved communities. They're not wealthy areas, and they are helping those kids get a Michigan education, which is Michigan is one of the top public education institutions in the country. So we're going to talk about that, and we're not going to demonize, and we're not going to say, I mean, look, like there is one side that is trying to shut this down, but I also think that the left doesn't fully understand what all DI means. I have friends that are like, "Yeah, I'm for it, but I don't know what it is," and like we need to have that conversation, and we need to tell people that it's not just a racial program; it's a socioeconomic program as well. Like if you are a poor white person in Michigan, these DEI programs work for you too. So we're going to talk about that. Um, yeah, Cheryl, I agree. I don't like before so Michigan's a client of mine. So outside of doing this podcast, I have a digital marketing agency called Fullerton Strategies, and I've been working with them on this exact problem. And Tabby, who is the chief diversity officer and vice provost of the university, is my client. And I have learned so much from them about what it is. Like I just, it is helping to level a playing field in a fair way, not in a preference way. And DEI is not affirmative action. It is not. DEI, again, is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you have to look at all three of those words. It's not just about diversity, but diversity also is not just about race. Diversity is about economic background as well. So we're gonna dive into all of that. I think we're gonna tape it next week, and then we're aiming for doing these every other Wednesday at this point. And the other exciting thing that happened with this today is that I don't know if some of you saw, but we are actually in the Apple Podcasts top 30 in the government section for podcasts after one episode. We're at number 29, which I thought was super cool and is helpful for us to get in front of other people as well. So if you haven't watched this yet, you can go to politigoodpod.com, and also the video of this is on my channel, so you can see it there. But it's super exciting. And then, after the second episode, we have a laundry list of people that we want to talk to. And again, this is not a partisan hack machine where we just, scream about Republicans. The white, there was some of that in the white dudes one, right? But not really. It was more introspective. We want to talk about issues, and we want to break them down, and we want to help make them easy to access for people to understand. I'm obviously a Democrat, and I've worked in Democratic politics for a long time, but I, I'm not in this just so Democrats win. Like I want to do the right thing, and thank you, Todd. That's very kind of you. And I, want to see what we can do with this. So the second one will be with Dr. Tabby Chavis from Michigan. She's been at the university for 28 years. Wonderful human being, doing amazing work, having real impact on people's lives. And I think unfortunately the term DEI has become weaponized and we need to start talking about what it actually means, so that when people hear it, like Todd, you're a great example. Like, you will hear these things, and I think you're going to agree with a lot of it. You know, and I'm not saying you're anti-DEI. I just mean like we're from different perspectives. So I'm excited to talk more about that. Well, let's see. We got 8 people. Who else is in here, folks? Um, I would love to see who else is here. Cheryl. Oh, Lily. Lily's here. Oh, hello. Lily's one of my TikTok friends, and I think you were on last night when I got unceremoniously kicked off for something I did not do. Um, Also can't drink this on TikTok. I got throttled for doing that one night too. Um, uh, yeah, Todd. Look. Like, I think we are in our own bubbles, and I'm not saying that we have all the right answers, and I'm not saying that you are all wrong, but I think that I think most Americans don't really care about the Democratic independent or Republican thing. They want to live their lives. They want to have a happy life, family if they choose. Um, as little interference in their lives as possible, have a happy life with whatever they choose to do. And I think that should be the goal of any government, is to just try to set that up um, as best we can. We obviously disagree on how to get there sometimes. Um, but I think on the sense of community thing, I think we have lost that. Um, we used to all be friends. I mean, I think we're still sometimes with our neighbors. I live in New York City. It's a little bit harder because it's so transient, but um, that sense of community and just people just like being able to get together and have a good time, have friends, isn't doesn't happen as much. We have a lot more remote work now. Um, you could, like I do, order my groceries, so don't have to. I mean, I go to the grocery store around the corner all the time, but like we don't go grocery shopping. You run into people. And there's not like here we have all kinds of outdoor activities, but there's also like 10 million people live here, and so it's kind of hard to build communities. But I think that happens even in the suburbs as well. Everyone's actually like separated by a significant distance. You have to drive everywhere, and I think that's been part of our problem. And I don't have a great answer to that. I mean, it's interesting. People have been talking about bringing back men's clubs, not in the like exclusionary like whites only thing. Don't get me wrong, which needed to end. But like, just like place the dudes can hang out. They want to drink, they don't have to drink. Like, shoot pool, play cards, just hang out, watch a game, like all that stuff. It's really hard for folks in their after they graduate college to make friends, and I think that is part. Oh, do I have a? Sorry, I write post-it notes to myself, and sometimes they get stuck to me. Um, and I'd love to work on that. And obviously I have very strong opinions on policy, and some of the uh, appointments that Trump made today really bother me. Um, like RFK Jr. being in charge of our public health when he has no public health experience whatsoever bothers me. There's a place for that discussion as well. Um, but I would love to kind of try to do both. Um, Yeah, yeah. Yeah, or I just can have you tell me, and then I will cheers everybody on this call for being here. Uh, I appreciate that. But yeah. Also, I'm gonna be focused more on building my YouTube, and I think I'm actually gonna work with a guy who sent me a proposal. He works for somebody else that I know to grow this so that we get a more robust community here. Because I know not everybody wants to be on TikTok, for lots of reasons, and the other ones don't really work too well for this. And I know people who like have great lives on YouTube. I just don't have the audience yet. I think I've got like 2,500 subscribers, which is awesome. Um, and I'd love to have more. Excuse me. Um, be able to have a bigger conversation. This is awesome. Like Cheryl, Lily, and Todd, you're awesome, and I love talking to you. But obviously, would love to have a bigger community with lots of questions, and we can have like a robust dialogue, sort of Lily, like we have on TikTok. But there's so many trolls on TikTok that it's hard for me to read positive comments and hear negative comments while also trying to communicate. So Um, we'll work on that. We'll work on that. So, um, oh my God, Cheryl, so many bots, so many bots. I mean, like the amount of people that just like send nonsense into my feed, it's like not relevant to the conversations. Um, or people who type out the Trump train with the images or a tank or something and they keep putting it in. And I'm just like, what is the goal here, guys? Like, I get it. You won, and I admit you won. Like, I'm not one of these people who says that the votes were wrong because they weren't. There's no irregularities. There's no fraud. So I don't know why people do that. um, yeah, Todd, I think you're right. I think you're right. Cheryl, I haven't because I don't think I can. Um, I do have a tool that would allow me to broadcast, I think, to Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I think that's right, but I don't think it's connected to TikTok. So I could do a YouTube, Twitter. I wouldn't use LinkedIn. I'd try not to do too much political stuff on LinkedIn because that's a business platform. Um, so you do know some people who have done this. Maybe I need to look into it more. Um, and then also with the podcast, we we're gonna start doing some lives, I think, as well. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Um, yeah, we're gonna do some lives and things, and I gotta figure out what to do with this channel in particular because obviously I post some videos that are very different than these, and I have the podcast. Um, so I'm trying to figure all this out. I'm not used to making money on social media networks. TikTok's actually been um, quite profitable, which is pretty awesome for me just riffing and randomly saying stuff like thousands of dollars per month, which has been shocking to me. Um, I'm in like a TikTok jail right now though, because I posted a video today. It was very similar to a video I did yesterday and it went nowhere. And yesterday's was like through the roof. So, um, we'll see. We'll see about all this. But yeah. Um, well, folks, uh I think I might go watch some TV. Uh, I want to do more of these, and I'm glad you're here. You guys are like my consistents, which is awesome. Um, but I think we've been going for 23 minutes. I may wrap, but I definitely want to do more. I want to stay connected with you guys. This is great. And I like this format better than TikTok's. TikTok, I have to put my cell phone up and I have to go sit over there because the internet works a lot better on my computer than on my phone, and I'd much rather sit on this couch than do that. So I got to figure out some better ways to do all of this. But I think I might wrap tonight. I want to thank you guys for being with me always. You're awesome. Um, Lily, you too. You guys have a great night. It's always good talking to you, Todd, Cheryl, and Lily. And I know there's a couple other people hiding here, but that's cool. Anyways, have a wonderful night, everybody. It was great chatting with you. Hopefully, you can do something that's not political related tonight and just take a break. And we'll be back doing another one of these really soon. So thanks, guys. We'll talk soon. Bye, Todd. I'm done.